Christmas tree farms are expecting next week to be the busiest of the season. There are some reports of a national Christmas tree shortage, but there's no need for panic because, as Emily Riley explains, it's only affecting certain customers.
If you've seen headlines lately warning of a Christmas tree shortage, there's a good chance it won't affect you. Jill Sidebottom from the National Christmas Tree Association says it's the wholesalers looking to buy hundreds of trees who are finding occasional trouble.
People that retail trees, either at tree lots or that have fundraisers, they are continuing to have problems getting trees in some instances. So that's sort of a different kind of consumer than just you going out and purchasing a tree.
The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection tells me, in part quote, since Wisconsin is fourth in the nation for Christmas tree production, factors such as severe Canadian wildfires would not likely impact us importing product, end quote. Local cut-and-choose Christmas farms like Whispering Pines in Oconto tell me they have more than enough trees.
People are surprised at the vast number of trees and the variety, the sizes, and so it becomes a family tradition.
Megan Yeska, one of the owners of the tree farm, says she's aware of wholesale farms in different areas of the U.S. experiencing supply issues.
If you want your Christmas tree, there's no problem with that. If you want 400 Christmas trees, various sizes, that's where we find people are running into trouble sometimes.
Yeska says they're excited to welcome folks looking for the perfect Christmas tree. You can also use a Christmas tree locator feature from the Wisconsin Christmas Tree Association. We have a link at WBAY.com. In Oconto, Emily Riley, Action 2 News.